Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pass Interference Podcast, hosted by yours truly, Max Whirling. It's going to be a fun week, or a fun episode this week, I should say. We are in week 5, or we're going to review week 5 of the NFL week. Then we're going to look at some stories from this past week. It's just a week-centric week. I'm going to say week a lot. I'm fucking tired. It is my wife's birthday today. So yeah, if this podcast sounds like shit, it's because I'm very sleepy. And then we're also going to talk about our week 6 picks as well. And we are starting a little bit late because my one co-host who I'm going to bring on next, Jonathan Neckrich, you were a little bit late today, you naughty, naughty boy.
Yep, work sucks, I know, and I'm just glad to be home and glad we're finally getting this done. It's now officially Thursday, boys.
Here's my question, John. If work sucks and you know, did she leave you roses by the stairs?
Oh,
No.
God, great job,
No.
Max.
I
Do
wish.
surprises let you know this year? And of course, in the background, enjoying his McDoubles because apparently he is a hungry man, enjoying some awful McDonald's for him. Yet we'll still have a flatter stomach than the rest of us. Bronson Pompilio, how are you doing tonight?
I am. I mean, who can be happier eating a large fry and a McDouble right now? John, waiting on you is the best thing that happened to me all week.
See, everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get into the picks real quick, Bronson, how was Comic-Con?
Comic-Con was a blast. Little PSA real quick, though, guys. It's not for everyone. It's a tad overwhelming. Don't go in large groups because you will lose each other.
Oh, yeah.
And, man, let me tell you, man, you can't even look at your phone. You can't look at a hot cosplay. You can't do nothing. You look in any other direction than the direction your friends are going in, you're gone. And then you spend 25 minutes looking for each other, and then you just keep doing that on repeat, and then just, at some point you just give up and get cranky, real cranky. And then you just go flirt with nerdy girls that you shouldn't be flirting with. It's just stupid.
Thank you for putting this on the podcast. So,
but yeah, I don't think I'll do it again. But it was great.
Well, here's the thing: you gotta go with the right people. And second of all, if you're here's my feeling is that if you're gonna go in a large group, then I feel like you should be like, all right. I'm going to be going here, and you're going to be going here, and at 4 o'clock, let's meet here. And then that way, everybody's kind of centralized. They can do their own shit, do whatever they want to do, whatever the case may be.
To the most part. But, when you got, half your group is, single men, and the other half is, taken men, and then it's, you walk in, dude, and, there's no, I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to go here, and then you're going to go here. We all want to go to the same fucking spot. So that was the cool. It wasn't a matter of I want to go here and you go there. It was we just would walk in a direction of the thing we wanted to see, and then you'd look in any direction and you see something else. You're oh, something shiny, and then you just walk towards it, and then it was game over, man. It was just
piece of candy.
It was just game over, and then you got horny little single boys that are a couple of my buddies are 23 years old, and they're oh my god, hot Link, hot Zelda, just walking through the building, and then they're we're, and then we saw a smoking hot Wonder Woman, and my buddy Justin was just gone, just bolted, and then there's Overwatch cosplay, and people get triggered.
Gotta go.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's move on.
I was gonna say. Man, some Tracer cosplay would have me in a would have me in a pinch. Anyways,
it's
back to what
Diva
we're here
for me.
Yeah,
Lots of Diva.
too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyways, back to what we're here to talk about. Not nerdy shit, even though we love our nerdy shit. We are here to talk about football. We are here to talk about Week 5. We are here to talk about some games here. We're gonna try to keep this abbreviated because again we are all tired, cranky a little bit, just awfulness. So, but first game on the docket this week, Thursday Night Football, Colts versus Patriots. Patriots, I think, win this pretty easily. I mean, I don't know how you guys felt about it, but yeah, Patriots had this game won. But to be fair with the Colts, they were without their top running back. They were without T.Y. Hilton, and I think another wide receiver as well.
They had 5 starters not in the game on offense.
Yeah, exactly. So they were Andrew Luck played as well as could be. So
he threw the fucking ball 63 times. It's insane.
Exactly. But ultimately, Patriots win. Tom Brady gets his 500th touchdown reception to Josh Gordon. That's right. That trade has paid dividends on realistically I don't know how you guys felt about it. It was a good. It was almost like it was a good thrown ball, but it was kind of shittily thrown. And Josh Gordon had to make a play, but he didn't have to make a play because the Colts overplayed it. I don't know. It was a weird sequence of events, but yeah, like I said, 500 touchdown, Tom Brady. Another tip in the cap that he can rest in his Hall of Fame. You know, his nice, sexy Hall of Fame plaque that he's going to have. So, his nice little bust. So that's about it. Like I said, Patriots win that pretty easily. Don't have to talk about it. Next game on the docket. Oh, and for our picks for that game, both John and I picked the Colts. Bronson, quiet down. Goddamn.
I just opened it.
I know. Well, open it quieter. Come on. Jesus.
I mean, I'm standing right next to it. How the fuck am I supposed to open it quieter? God damn it!
I don't know.
I can't make the rapper whisper.
I don't know. Mute yourself on Skype.
Shut up,
my
rapper.
God. Jesus.
Don't ask me a question, then, bitch.
I won't ask you a question. I was talking about this other shit. I was going through. Get me off topic.
I haven't to do the podcast late.
Douche. Yeah, for real. Anyways, John and I both picked the Patriots. Bronson picked the Colts, and that's how that shaked down. So, good week for that started for us. John and I were like, yeah, and then the rest of the week happened, and some surprising results. I haven't even told them who won this week in terms of picks and everything like that. So, next game, Titans versus Bills. We all picked the Titans, and we're all idiots because apparently the Titans should have had this game and should have won this game, and instead the Bills win it. And I don't know how the Bills win it. They didn't play that well. Just absolute terrible trash game. I really don't even want to discuss what even happened in it. It's a trash game. I still think the Bills are awful, but whatever. Fucking Tennessee, man.
They're awful, all right? Anytime we think the Bills are going to definitely lose, we just should pick the fucking Bills from now on.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
That's why I tweeted from the Twitter, fuck you, Bills.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
bitches.
Fucking
ruined
Bills.
Everything.
Fucking Bills. Next game, Dolphins versus Bengals. Jon and Bronson picked the Bengals, successfully picked the Bengals. I picked the Dolphins like an idiot, thinking that they'd have a rebound. And, the Dolphins are going to probably finish 500 this year. Should have really gotten Bruno on when the iron was hot. So that way this could have, he could have said some crazy shit like, yeah, man, we're going to go 15-1. We're the greatest fucking franchise ever, man. And then, for them to lose and go at 8-8, for him to then be like, oh yeah, man, I'm totally an Eagles fan anyways. So
we love you, Bruno.
We love you, Bruno. But pick one team. You're allowed one team.
Mm-hmm.
Third game this week. Again, fucking Browns. John and I picked the Ravens. Bronson picks the Browns, and the Browns win it in another overtime game. Here's the most interesting statistic about the Browns this year that I saw was that they have legitimately had every possible outcome for a record that you can have in the NFL. They have a regulation win, they have a regulation loss, they have a overtime win, they have an overtime loss, and they have a tie. That sums up the Cleveland Browns. The impossible happened.
I just want to say real quick, the Browns, they could be 5-0 right now, which is kind of weird to say, but I mean, they do have a really great defense, and speaking for the Ravens, until they get a running game going, yeah, Flacco's on pace to throw for almost 5,000 yards, but proven in the past, you can't rely on just Joe Flacco to win games. Yeah, the defense is great, but John Harbaugh hinted at they could have a running back committee moving forward. Alex Collins started pretty hot, but then slowed down very fast. And until they get a running game going, like we've said in weeks past, I mean, this offense just can't operate it. I mean, you should win when the defense only allows 12 points. That game winner field goal was kind of weird.
It was a
but it was
good. It was like watching the Mighty Ducks again. It was like watching D2 again when you're a kid and fucking Kenan Thompson's like knuckle puck and fucking hits it. It was exactly like that.
But they'll take it. I mean, they've had
you know what I want to say on this matter is like John was like, yeah, no big deal. Like Joe Flacco's on pace for 5,000 yards. Like, oh yeah. You just want to pull your dick out for a little bit. Like, you just like slip that in like it's no big deal. You're trying to like just play it off. Yeah, fuck you.
It is no big deal. I mean,
it ain't happening, John.
It
ain't happening. You'll be lucky if he gets 4,000.
If they play the way they have been lately,
but guess what? This last week was the beginning of the end, man. I told you, a reckoning is coming for the Ravens.
I'm all for it. I don't want to see John Harbaugh go. I don't want Joe Flacco to be the reason why John Harbaugh goes.
Both are gone.
But I mean, if this continues moving forward, if Flacco starts throwing stupid interceptions as the season progresses, I mean, you're going to start seeing Lamar Jackson in these games. I mean, it's just, a lot of players and coaches and a lot of people on this team are on the hot seat right now.
Well, I'll tell you this. The Ravens I saw last week are the Ravens I saw all year last year. Receivers not catching balls. Joe Flacco all off. Okay, but you can't say Crabtree. You can list every other fucking receiver the last 4 years outside of Steve Smith. All right, dropping balls. Flacco, defense plays great. Typical. Solid return game. You can expect those things. But, your offense is killing you. And it's starting with Flacco. And, your receivers aren't doing... I mean, Crabtree dropped to that one pass, but there was a lot of other problems there.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, the offense has been the biggest issue since the Super Bowl, especially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's oh boy, and here's the other thing with the Ravens too is apparently they also are like, you know how we have that really good offensive lineman. You know how we should really pay that offensive lineman. Yeah, we're not going to do that. I wouldn't be surprised.
So many all-pro offensive linemen have left that team in the last 5 years.
Right.
Blows my mind.
And Bronson, you are right. I looked up on ESPN for the highest percentage of drops. Number one is the Browns. Tied for second is the Cardinals and Bills. And then third or fourth place, however you want to say it, are the Ravens. They dropped 6% of their passes. And that is bad. That is terrible.
Mm-hmm. Can't get it done and can't catch a damn ball.
Yeah.
To be fair, the Redskins are the number one in lowest percentages of drops, but I still don't think our wide receivers are that good. But that's just my.
Well, just be glad you're not a Ravens fan then.
Yeah, exactly. Bears number 3, by the way.
I knew that, man. I've seen my team.
Just a
That is
tickle.
exactly why we've completely revamped the entire pass catching core this season. And trust me.
Anyways,
Josh Bell, our number 1 receiver last year was
Kendall Wright, I think, right? Kendall Wright. Yeah.
Yeah, and now he's not even on a fucking team.
No, he just got picked up by the Cardinals.
But that's pretty bad.
Yeah. So, all right, moving forward. Next game, Packers at Detroit. Bronson and I both picked the Detroit Lions. John picked the Packers, and Detroit wins. Aaron Rodgers had a real fucking Aaron Rodgers. The one week where I'm like, I listen to Bronson after he's like, give me Jared Goff, give me Jared Goff, give me Jared Goff. I fucking put Jared Goff in, and Aaron Rodgers throws for fucking 450 yards and 3 touchdowns.
All right, well, give me Jared Goff, and you can be rid of this torment.
No, you can suck my
I want
testicles.
Jared Goff. Give me Jared Goff.
No, you can suck my dick.
Please
How
give me
about
Jared
that?
Goff. I'll suck your dick. It'll be easy.
If that's what the trade entails, then do it.
Yeah, exactly. That'll be Jared Goff for 1 blowjob and a little bit of anal play as well.
Okay, easy. Give me. Let's make it. Type it in the notes.
Yeah. Anyways, like I said, Lions win.
Is that a
I
yes
think
or
that
no?
we'll talk about it later.
Go ahead.
Play.
Move on.
Yeah, we're moving on. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna briefly run through these games because, oh boy, there's nothing to really talk about this games, except for this next game. Next game we got is the Jaguars playing the Kansas City Chiefs, and just like I predicted, Pat Mahomes threw 2 interceptions, but ultimately he could throw 2 interceptions when also Blake Bortles throws 4 interceptions. John correctly picked the winner in the Chiefs. Chiefs 5-0. Jaguars fall down to 3-2. And just some awful throws by Blake Bortles. Here's the thing. There are games where Blake Bortles you think is finally turned around the corner. You think he is going to be the man. He is going to lead this team to a Super Bowl. And then, John, there are games like this where he legit threw a fucking ball and it hit one of his own offensive linemen in the helmet. And I don't even know who he was throwing to. It was that bad of a throw.
Dude, I'm telling you. He's a modern Jay and Rex Grossman combined. He's literally the same thing. He has the new defense leading the charge. I've said this hundreds of times. He's literally the same thing. Literally.
And I heard Matt Miller, because that's the one guy I listen to a lot, and I was listening to their podcast, the Stick to Football podcast, and it was him and his buddy Connor Rogers, and they were talking about when Teddy Bridgewater was on the block and Teddy Bridgewater was available, that the Jaguars did not make a move to get Teddy Bridgewater, and this is why you make a move to get Teddy Bridgewater. I'm not saying Teddy Bridgewater is a top 5 quarterback or a top 10 quarterback, but he, I think, is a lot better than Blake Bortles. Even with his knee injury, I still think Teddy Bridgewater is a better fucking replacement for Blake Bortles that's got out there, and they're going to lose. You know, they are not going to win a Super Bowl with Blake Bortles. Mark my words, stamp it. You can mark this day. Jacksonville Jaguars have the defense to win the Super Bowl, have the running game to win the Super Bowl. Even the receiving court is decent enough to win the Super Bowl. But as long as Blake Bortles is behind center and quarterbacking this team, they will never win a Super Bowl. That's just it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I've been saying that forever, that Blake is the new Jay. Yeah. He has taken the realm. He's the new Rex. Throw 4 picks one week.
Next week he'll throw 500 yards and 6 touchdowns.
It's same shit, man. I've already lived it. I'm gonna send my condolences to the Jacksonville fans because I lived it oh so well in 05 and 06.
Yep.
God damn, did I live it. I mean, we were the number one defense in the NFL. We had the best return game in the business. We had the best kicker in the NFL in Robbie Gould. But fucking hated Rex, sexy Rex, or bitch-ass bitch Rex. Just ruined it all.
Yeah.
Just fucked it up. 3 picks to Bob Sanders. You know, what do I know? Fuck you,
Yeah.
Peyton Manning.
But John, we all knew Pat Mahomes was going to throw a couple interceptions, But I mean, this is still. How do you feel about the Chiefs? They're 5-0. They've started off pretty hot, but there's been statistics out there where they've started undefeated, like 5-0 and further, and have never won a playoff game when they've gone like this, including last year. So is this Chiefs team a pretender or a contender?
I think this year I could definitely see contender. They end up winning the game mainly in part with Jacksonville giving the ball up 5 times, and anytime you have at least a couple turnovers, you're bound to lose the game. But they turned the ball over, I believe it was 5 times.
5 times
in that game. Pat Mahomes did play a really great defense in Jacksonville. Didn't throw a touchdown. I guess came back down to reality, throwing 2 interceptions. But I think they really showed that, when put up against a very solid defense, that they can get the job done. And I think, especially in that division alone, I mean, they are the team to beat. And in the AFC, you have to look at them as one of the best teams moving forward. It definitely seems like it.
Yeah, exactly. So, not much more to say about this game. Blake Bortles sucks. The end.
Yeah.
The end.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for the Jacksonville Jaguars is that if they want to move on from Bortles, this is a really weak quarterback class. Even if they take a guy in the first round, there's not many guys in the first round. There's not many quarterbacks that are going to be a first-round grade, and we'll talk about that when the offseason comes, but holy shit, is there a drop-off in talent this year. That's all I'm going to say.
Do I get the answer of whether or not they're pretenders or contenders? Or
Do it.
Fuck?
Sure, go ahead. Are they contenders or pretenders, motherfuckers?
Pretender.
Oh.
They're pretenders, man.
Is it their defense? Because that's the only thing that's making me wary about the Chiefs. Is I think they have a decent enough offense.
It's the defense and the wide receivers.
Yeah.
The wide receivers. I said this, I think, week 1 in our podcast. I'm going to be brief here, but the speed is only going to last so long. At some point, the press coverage is going to catch up to him. Granted, Tyreek had a good play against Jalen. He had one really good play against him. But if he goes up a bigger and more physical corner that doesn't rely on speed as much as Jalen does, it's going to cause problems.
Yeah.
And if they get one injury on the offensive side of the ball outside of Mahomes, I mean anywhere obviously, but if someone in the receiving core line, the offensive line that's already subjective, or running back, if you will, they're going to be in big trouble. And they start this playoff every year, and it never ends up being the same. So
yeah, we'll see. Maybe they're if the Chiefs are serious about making contender. I know they thought about trading for Earl Thomas, shoring up that defense, which would have been a great get before he got injured. As for the bigger wide receivers, I mean, realistically, there is a possibility. I'm not saying it's going to happen. It would have to be with his consent, but there is a possibility that the Chiefs could make a call out to Arizona, say, hey, we want Larry Fitz, and Larry Fitz could end up in the Chiefs uniform. I'm not saying it will happen. I still think Larry Fitz ends up in Cardinals, stays with the Cardinals.
Yeah, he's gonna retire there.
Yeah, so, but it's a possibility. It just depends on how he feels, if he wants a shot at a ring or not, because we all know the Arizona Cardinals are not going for a ring this year. So.
Right. I mean, I love the Chiefs. I can't say that enough. They're my probably my favorite team in the AFC. I would root for them any game of the week, except unless they were playing the Bears in the Super Bowl. But anyway, we'll go on from there.
All right. Next game we have, this was a bad game as well. Broncos versus Jets. We all picked the Broncos. Oh boy, did we pick wrong. Jets come out and just demolished Denver. Denver probably still ends up with a top 10 pick, if not a top 5 pick. I don't know. Isaiah Crowell runs for 219 yards. I bench him in both of my leagues. Almost cost me wins in both of my, cost me a win in our fantasy league. Did not cost me a win in my ESPN league. Thank God, because I would have been pissed. So, but not much to say about this game other than the Broncos suck and Jets are 2-3. So, any other input? You guys have any news, notes? Sex?
No, I told John. The Broncos are just going to pick after the Ravens. So the Ravens are going to pick after the Broncos. Excuse me. But anyway, move on.
Yeah. Next game. Again, one of those games where I think we all picked the Falcons, and oh boy, this was even worse.
Steelers, I know. The one week I didn't pick the fucking Falcons, or did pick them.
Yeah, exactly. Steelers absolutely destroy the Falcons. Falcons are on pace for right now having a top 5 pick. If I'm not mistaken, I believe they have, based on strength of schedule, I think they have the number 3 or 4 pick. I can't remember which one. But I don't think this is a team that necessarily is a bad team. I just think this is a very hurt team. And
oh my God, dude! They're seriously the most hurt team in the NFL right now. You literally lost every very good player on that defense. Every difference maker on that defense is gone. Right. It's and then the one that you have is Vic Beasley, and he's hit or miss.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is
I really want the Falcons to have a top 5 pick because I want to see if they go quarterback or not.
They won't. They have the pieces. This is a team, and trust me, again, this quarterback class, there's only one quarterback out there, and I think he'll go to the Giants if he declares. If this quarterback doesn't declare, and who I'm talking about specifically is Kyle Herbert out of Oregon. If Kyle Herbert does not declare and he stays in school, then there's not a first-round quarterback worthy of being drafted in the top 5, let alone, like I said, the first round. Man. At this moment. Come on, man. No one would have pegged any of the other quarterbacks in the first round this time last season in the NFL draft. No. Everybody knew, other than Baker Mayfield, everybody knew Sam Darnold was going to be picked in the first round. Josh Rosen was going to be picked in the first round. Matt Miller was calling Josh Allen to be picked. It could have been the number 1 overall pick this year for 2 years now. So that those guys were already scouted, accounted for, whatever. This year, though, there are guys who have the tools, but then for one reason or another, they, Jarrett Stidham, for example, in Auburn, has the physical tools, has not played well against top-tier defenses. Drew Lock out of Missouri has played in a pass-heavy offense and hasn't looked good this year. Will Grier, who is my favorite quarterback out of this entire class, has, his last game, he threw 3 red zone interceptions. I think it cost him the game. So,
all right. Here's my question to you.
I'm not saying. Hold on. And I'm not saying that a quarterback. Don't misconstrue what I say. I'm not saying that a quarterback won't be taken in the first round, because there will be. There will be quarterbacks that are overdrafted, but that's what they are. They're going to be overdrafted heavily, and it's good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But what I'm saying is, you look at the top. You look at the you just said top 5 pick for the Falcons as of now. You look at the top 4 teams before them. Are any of them remotely in consideration for a quarterback?
Giants are.
Okay, that's it. right?
And if the Giants get picked before the Falcons, like I said, I don't think it's necessarily Matt Ryan's fault, and I don't think
I'm not saying it's Matt Ryan's fault. I'm saying you literally have a young stud at every position on defense.
But then you go best player available.
You have an offensive lineman. You have an entirely great offensive lineman.
Yeah, that's why you go best player available. You don't go for a quarterback that's not going to start for 3 years.
Let me listen. Let me fucking just for a second entertain me. Then you have Julio Jones. You just drafted Calvin Ridley, and as of right now, he's looking phenomenal. You have Mohamed Sanu, a solid number 2. You're not going to take a tight end in the top 5. Running back, you have Devontae and Telvin, both extremely young.
Well, Telvin's a free agent after this year, and I don't think they're going to re-sign him. So
right, but my point is him and Devontae came in the same time. They're both extremely young. But they're both solid running backs. Ito.
Hold on. Yeah, and I get where you're coming from. I see where you're coming from. Here's the caveat to that, though, is that you already said their best. What'd you say? Their best pass rusher, the best player on defense is Vic Beasley. And what'd you say exactly? He's inconsistent. So therefore, you have to help out that pass rushing side, because like you said, Vic Beasley is very inconsistent. Even though he was,
they got Tack too. Tack McKinley's there too.
But even still, you still need more rotational guys to help out. That's why a lot of people are picking out. A lot of people are picking Rashawn Gary, defensive tackle out of Michigan, to go to that team, go to the Falcons, because of the simple fact that you could easily plug him in there. And he can play anywhere on that defensive line. He can play nose tackle, you can play D tackle, you can play D end. He can play anywhere on that defensive line and be perfectly solid. On the flip side, you could also go defensive back, and you could go with a Greedy Williams on of LSU. So there's more depth that they can go, and ultimately they'll either do 2 things in the draft if they pick that high. I'm not saying they will, but at this time they do have a top 5 pick. They'll go and either do best player available, or they'll trade out. They'll trade for somebody who wants one of those guys, and they'll trade out of that spot and get more depth guys. So that way, if injuries happen again, they won't be fucked as hard.
Yeah, I could see that. But I also don't. I mean, the Falcons are usually a lock for top 18 and down in picks. And they are reaching the end of the Matt Ryan Julio era. It's kind of beginning, and so I'd like to see them take a quarterback and groom him for fucking 2 or 3 years, man.
Yeah, but
I would like to see a true succession. All right, not saying Matt Ryan is Brett Favre, but I would like to see a fucking Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers transition in Atlanta.
Well, here's what you're forgetting about, too, is Matt Ryan just signed a 5-year, $150 million contract. Just signed this season with $100 million guaranteed. So he will play for those 5 years. And you're going to tell me that they're going to bench a guy for 3-4 years so that they can maybe have a guy who may be ready to start in that time frame, maybe not. No, they're going to play Matt Ryan until the wheels fall off that train. So I don't see them taking a quarterback.
All right.
So
I'm just playing devil's advocate. They can sign them to the contract all they want, man. But I've seen plenty of people get signed to contracts and immediately get rejected because it's in their interests. Because they put it in the contract of the language of the contract. They did it with fucking Jeff Fisher. All right, it's about to happen to Jay Gruden. You get a 2-year extension. Oh, that's so exciting.
And
then
those are head coaches. Those guys make at most. That's a most
same
like
thing, man.
$10 million.
When you get signed to an extension, it's a pay cut for.
$100 million guaranteed, though. $100 million. 100. Not 5, not 6, not 7, 100. It doesn't make sense. I get what you're saying, and I do. I totally get what you're saying. Not going to happen. Never going to happen.
We'll see.
Okay. John, any input? You're quiet.
Yeah, well, no, I was I was enjoying that little exchange there. I mean, I think Matt Ryan would really have to tank, especially after that contract, in order for there to be some kind of change of quarterback or them drafting a quarterback in this year or next year's draft.
He'd have to play like Jay Cutler.
He'd have to play really bad. I mean,
and I know to play like Jay Cutler.
Yeah, and I mean, I know like this year right now with the injuries on defense, I mean, it's really all on him right now. But I mean, he'd have to really tank in order for them to, think about, we got to draft someone and, think about our immediate future right now. But I mean, I also do.
I'm just saying, like, if they go fucking 3-13, they're gonna blame the quarterback.
And it is easy to point the finger at the quarterback in this modern era, especially, when
every game is ending in a shootout.
Yeah.
Yeah. They can blame the quarterback all they want, but ultimately
And you're telling me there's no contractual fucking buyout for the team to get out of that?
No.
At all?
No.
Okay. Okay. All right, but you're also telling me the team with the second fewest amount of cap isn't going to be willing to just fucking risk it all? I mean,
no,
are you not telling me? Are you also not telling me that the Falcons were the second team in the NFL to just fully fucking commit to a quarterback, and it's not going to bite them in the ass?
Listen, if they were to release,
you listen, because here's what you need to know is the Vikings started this whole fucking stupid thing for, signing your goddamn above average quarterback with a mediocre winning percentage and signed him to an $84 million guaranteed fucking contract over 3 fucking years. And then the Falcons are like, you know what? We got to make Matt happy. We got to make him happy. So we're going to give him 100. And then the Packers are like, yeah, we're going to give Aaron even more. And so now we're just shelling out all this fucking guaranteed money to quarterbacks. Meanwhile, the teams in the NFL that are winning are the teams with young quarterbacks with no guaranteed money. While the teams with all these guaranteed money quarterbacks, are you expecting me to believe that the Atlanta Falcons, if they go to, let's say, fucking 3-13, 4-12, are you expecting me to? They're not going to consider potentially giving themselves an out to this fucking contract? They can fucking trade him. They can fucking trade him. Easy.
Listen, if they trade him, and I'm looking at Over the Cap right now, which does all the salary cap for all the NFL teams. If they cut him or trade him, they take a dead cap hit of $56 million.
Okay, they have. I mean, that's it. Like, fuck it. Wash your hands. The fucking Browns traded for Brock just to take some weight off the Texans' hands.
Bronson, you're not getting it. They have next year, they have $30 million in cap space, which meaning if they traded Matt Ryan next year, they would have negative $20 million in cap space.
But I'm not saying they trade him next year. I'm saying they draft a fucking rookie next year and then watch it explode even more. Okay.
2020 then. $24 million cap hit. $24 million cap hit. 2021. 2021 is the earliest they could get out of that contract and make and save about $9 million.
So you said in the year prior to 2021 was how much of a hit?
$25 million.
Okay, and then if they also trade Julio?
How
much cap does that free up?
That frees up $11 million.
Okay, so you're talking about like
if they free up Julio before 2020,
they will.
If they free up 2019, then it's only $8 million. If they do it after 2019, it's $11 million. There's no way There's no way. They're stuck with him for this year, 2019, 2020, and most likely 2021. So
I don't see him the 2021, man.
I'm not saying at that point. I mean, you want to get 20,
but you're looking at the numbers right now, and you're just saying, well, this is what it is. This is what's going to happen. But you're also taking for granted that the entire roster is going to stay the same as it is under the contracts that it is. I mean, dude, shit changes constantly, like a fucking fart in the wind.
Yeah, but they're not going to, like I said, with that big of a cap hit, they wouldn't trade him, nor would they cut him. It's just not feasible.
Dude, if they can make the cap available to get rid of him and not take like a negative situation, they will. I mean, the fucking Saints have been in the negative. The Cowboys have been in the negative. Your fucking Redskins have been in the negative.
So
teams survive without it.
Just to get even with the cap, they'd have to get rid of Vic Beasley and Julio Jones. They would have to get over that cap. You're looking at getting rid of Alex Mack, who's a Pro Bowl guard. You're looking at getting rid of Robert Alford, who's a decent rotational defensive tackle. Mohamed Sanu, Ryan Schrader.
Alford's a corner.
Robert Alford. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of somebody else. My bad. But yeah, Robert Alford's a decent corner. Fucking Mohamed Sanu is $4.5 million. Brooks Reed's $4.5 million. I mean, it's just there's not a lot of money here that you can free up and comfortably say that this doesn't hurt the team in the long run.
It's also currently hurting the team. They can't sign anyone. So what the fuck is the difference?
Because next year, like I said, they have $30 million to work with and they have. What's their roster like? It's like they have how many people contracted? They have 35 players contracted next year, not including any rookies. So that's 7 right there. So that's 42. And 10 more is... Excuse me, I'm burping here. But 10 more you can get through undrafted free agents. You can get through veteran minimum contracts, stuff like that. Like I said, they're working against the cap. 2020 is how many guys do they have? They have only 23 players in total on their roster, and $51 million in cap space. That's not if they don't sign anybody in 2019, which just won't happen, or if they sign everybody to 1-year contracts with those 23 players, they would have $51 million. So, again, I'm not saying, I'll give you the benefit of that. I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm just saying there's a 99.9999% chance it will never happen. So, at least not until 2021 when they can be like, okay. It's the same dilemma. Here, I'll give you the perfect scenario. It's the same dilemma that the Ravens have had with Joe Flacco.
Exactly. So why are you giving the Ravens dilemma a 3-year longer gap than what the Ravens are currently going through? Because it's the exact same.
You mean
team.
The Falcons? Because of the simple fact that it's too big of a cap hit. Way too big of a cap hit. Same thing with the Ravens with Joe Flacco. It was just way too big of a cap hit. Now if the Baltimore Ravens want to get out of that contract, they can. They let's see. For example, this year even this year, they would take a $4 million, because of them doing whatever, they would take a $4 million hit on their cap, and they've only got $5 million of cap space this year. Next year, if they cut him pre-June 1st, right, they save $10.5 million, which ultimately you'll see happen. You'll see him probably get cut next year after the season. You know? That's $10.5 million they can save right there. Jimmy Smith, they could save $9.5 million next year on his contract alone. Eric Weddle, they can save $6.5 million contracts. So there are contracts next year for the Ravens that they can get out of and make some decent cap room and stuff like that. It's just not happening with the Falcons. Just not happening, period. Same thing for Washington. That's why the Alex Smith trade was so awful, right? we only have $9 million of cap space for the remaining of this year. Next year, 2019. If my computer will load it up, we have $24 million in cap space. If we were to cut Alex Smith after 1 year, we would take a $16.2 million hit, leaving us with only $8 million to round down our roster.
All right, I'm hearing you.
So,
Trust me, I'm hearing you. And I don't disagree with you. And I always will say, my buddy Max, he doesn't necessarily know football, but he definitely knows the business part of it. But anyway, now, let's move the fuck on.
Yeah, we spent way too much time about the goddamn Falcons.
It's okay. I'll tell my buddy Joe, who's a diehard Falcons fan, tune into this week. We talk about the Falcons for 40 minutes.
Yeah,
right, go
for
ahead.
real.
It became a topic without even knowing it.
Exactly. So, all right.
Give us a speed recap. No talking. Just do it. All right.
Yeah.
Go.
Panthers, Giants. Panthers win. Graham Cano hits a 63-yard field goal, ties a career-long and the also all-time record for longest field goal. Giants look awful this year still, and that's all I gotta say about this game. Fucking Graham Cano is another ex-Redskins kicker. Fucking hate it. The San Diego refused to call them Los Angeles Chargers, beat the Raiders. Surprise, surprise. 26-10. Raiders look awful. They're right now projected to have the second overall pick in this year's draft. That's who it was. Falcons get the fourth
and the
overall
27th.
pick. And the 27th, yeah.
The Bears.
Yeah. Anyways.
Bitch.
Next game, Vikings beat the Eagles 23-21. I know I should be going over the picks this week, but, we didn't really do that much in terms of... Yeah, we all had the Panthers. John, you picked the Raiders. I don't know why you picked the Raiders. You're a fucking idiot. I'm sorry. I love you, John.
Hey,
why?
man, gotta be the oddball sometimes.
Jesus Christ. We all picked the Eagles. Vikings win. Kirk Cousins has I think a pretty decent game. He also had a hell of a speech, which is why you signed him to that contract. Cardinals, Josh Rosen had an okay game. Nothing special, but he did throw a 75-yard touchdown. Cardinals beat the 49ers. So as of right now, it's 49ers have the first overall pick. Raiders have the second. Cardinals have the third. Falcons have the fourth. And somebody else has the fifth. I don't know. I don't care. Rams in a thriller beat the Seahawks. Jared Goff doesn't have that good of a game. He has an okay game, but it's all about Todd Gurley and the girls gone girly. They go girly for that girly. So they go wild for that girly. And then finally, Cowboys versus Texans. Texans win it in overtime. Jason Garrett. I know I said Todd Bowles would probably be the first head coach fired. It's pretty much a toss-up between him and Jason Garrett at this point because, man, oh boy, you have a 4th-and-1 opportunity and you can easily go for it. You punt it, and you should be going for that. So it's a damned if you do, damned if you won't, but you should be going for 4th-and-1 opportunities, especially if you're tiring that defense out. So, and finally, there was a Monday night game. I don't know what happened in it. It's not loading up here. There's nothing that happened. Nothing at all. So we don't have to talk about it.
Drew Brees, baby.
Fucking Drew Brees sets the all-time passing yards with a 62-yard touchdown to Traquan Smith. Never heard of him before. But, yeah, the Redskins
that was his first touchdown catch, and his first touchdown ball was taken away from him to only go into Drew Brees' Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Maybe Drew Brees can sign him a new ball or something. Like, hey, kid, have fun with Teddy for the next 10 years. So, not much to talk about this game. Redskins are awful. It's a typical Redskins loss where you think, you have 2 weeks and a day to prepare for the game, and you get fucking blown out. So, nothing to have to say about that. And then quickly for those picks, we all picked the Rams, we all picked the Texans, and John successfully picked the Saints. So what did that lead us to for this week's records. Well, Bronson, you were, before we recorded, you were like, oh boy, did we shit the bed this week? No, actually, we did not shit the bed this week. We only one person shit the bed this week, and that would be me. Both the top pickers this week are both you, Bronson, and John at 8 and 7, while I finished 7 and 8. So, where does this lead us ultimately this year for the records? In third place, it'd be John. You are 22 and 24 so far in your picking record. Yeah, your week 3 was really, really bad. So, I am in second place at 24 and 22, and some assholes in first place.
It's like you know something, or I don't know. But can I hear my record, please?
Yeah, you're 25 and 21. So right now you have a 1-game advantage over myself.
So I'm gonna need you to pick. I'm gonna need you to like go ahead and stop picking after me and start picking before me. Yeah, bish. let's spicing it up.
Yeah. So we have we got 12 more weeks, and if it comes down to week 17, when we get down to that, and it looks like we're gonna be ending up in a tie, we'll come up with some type of tiebreaker. Because remember, podcast people out there, there's a $50 gift card on the line, and I'll tell you what, I want to eat my Longhorn Steakhouse fucking steak. Fuck you guys. So
all right, get us into these picks, baby.
Well, we'll just go over some news real quick, and then we'll get into the week 6 picks to end it. So, first bit of news: Jaguars hurting at the running back position. Leonard Fournette still having his hamstring ailment. And also, T.J. Yeldon's having some type of injury, and they lost Corey Grant to a Lisfranc injury. So, where they go to the free agency market. They work out a guy by the name of Jamal Charles, Texas Longhorn. Very good running back in his time with the Kansas City Chiefs. Had a down year, very, very down year with the Denver Broncos last year. I don't think he was even healthy last year, but is what it is. Bronson, are you outside?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can hear the crickets.
Sounds very outside.
It's very loud and apparent.
The crickets, or
No, we hear crickets.
my AC fan?
No, we hear
Definitely
both.
crickets.
It's both. It's like both. Both loud as fuck.
You're loud as fuck. Just move on.
Anybody think that Jamal Charles still has it in the tank?
If he stays healthy, I mean, that's the big question mark. I mean, in his career, he does average. I just pulled it up, 5.4 yards per carry, but that is when he stays healthy. So I mean, if he can stay healthy, I mean, it's a hell of a pickup, especially after the troubles with Leonard Fournette this year. So, I mean, if he stays healthy, great pickup. If not, then we're back to the same old Jaguars where they have a great defense, but their offense is just meh.
Yeah.
What I'll say on this matter is very quick and very simple. Is he was healthy on the Broncos. They just are stubborn as fuck with their running backs, which is, it's like if they don't draft you, then they don't really want to use you. CJ, Devontae Booker, and then the two other guys that got there, Royce and Phillip. But I truly believe that this is the year of old running backs coming back, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Jamal rush for a couple 100-yard games. And that and he can do a lot in that offense, dude. They could kind of use him like Le'Veon is used in Pittsburgh. Does he do the things that we expect Jamal Charles to do? No, I expect it to be tempered and be an expectation of what Adrian Peterson is doing in Washington. So he'll be solid, but he's a temporary solution.
Yeah, and I think when Leonard Fournette comes back, Jamal Charles will be used exclusively in that maybe third down role where he'll be a receiving back. So, Yeah, this is a boomer bust move, but this is definitely a team that is looking to win the Super Bowl. Their window is certainly, closing every single week, and they need to win a Super Bowl. So, it's a boomer bust. It could go either way. I think it's going to be a bust ultimately, but we'll see. I'm hopeful. I do like me some Jamal Charles. So, next bit of news ties both these stories tie in together. The Eagles placed Jay Ajayi on the injured reserve. Tore his ACL in his left knee. In college, he tore his ACL in his right knee. So you're looking at a running back who's in a contract year, coming off coming off a torn ACL for this year. And like I said, he tore his ACL in college. I mean, 2 ACL tears in both knees, probably not the best thing. So Philadelphia already has been linked to Le'Veon Bell, but they freed up some cap space and have said that they do not want to go after Bell at this point. At least maybe not until his cap hit drops a little bit more. However, there is another running back out there that Ian Rappaport said that there could be a reunion, and that is, of course, LaShawn McCoy. LaShawn McCoy being that he was with the Philadelphia Eagles for a few seasons. I think, was it 4 seasons, 5 seasons, something like that? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons. 6 seasons in Philadelphia, and could be heading back there to help this team try to win another Super Bowl. And they could definitely use the help. Bronson, your thoughts on this?
I like it. I'm all about the reunion tour. Jordan Matthews getting his touchdown last night kind of got me excited for him. Wearing an Eagles uniform because he probably hasn't done that in God knows how long. Bring all the boys back. Give the bird to fucking Chip Kelly. See where it takes you, man. I'm all for it. Like, seriously, I'm all for it. Like, why waste the talent of LaShawn McCoy on the Buffalo Bills? Like, why put in the effort to run as hard as he does and as well as he does on the Bills, man? It's just a waste. Like, give me some Eagles on that. I'm for it.
Yeah, John, your any thoughts on this?
Definitely with Bronson. I mean, losing Jay sucks. I mean, they make the big move last season to pick him up. It hasn't really been anything too spectacular for him, but yeah, I'm sure the Eagles fans would love to have LaShawn McCoy back. I mean, bring old Shady back. I'm sure playing with Buffalo the last few seasons, yeah, they made the playoffs last year, but, I'm sure bringing Shady back to Philly will, it could light the spark back in his tank. And I mean, I'm all for it too, man. I mean, why not bring him back? And I think he still has a lot left in the tank. I know he's also dealt with a couple injuries this season too. But I mean, bring him back, man. I mean, you bring him back and spark that offense. And I mean, you never know. I mean, they could use all the help they can get, especially running back now. I think it'd be a great move.
Yeah, I mean, he's not. He's definitely doesn't have any favors for him in Buffalo. We've talked about over and over again. They have one of the top 3 worst offensive lines out there. So, he's only rushed for 170 yards this year because of the ineptitude. You put him on a Philadelphia offensive line that has proven guys that can block for him. This is a guy who can maybe still come back with some magic. The only thing I could see causing some hesitation would be if it would be the possible suspension that looms over him. I'm not saying there will be anything, but there is that possibility out there. So we'll see. It could be a good, like I said, it's one of those things that could be boom or bust move. This is definitely, I think, a boom move if it happens, but just keep an eye on a possible suspension. So, next bit of news, big offensive lineman off the free agency market. That would be the offensive lineman of Ali Marpet signing a 5-year, $55 million extension, $27 million in guarantees. Solid guard. Last year, before he got injured, he was the number 6 guard. This year, he ranks as the 7th best guard through 5 weeks. Is a young guy who, came out of nowhere. Division III, Hobart. That's right, Hobart. I think that's a liberal arts college. That's how small of the last player to come within anything out of Hobart was, look at this, Fred King, a halfback back in 1937. So, yeah, this is a former second round pick, very good offensive lineman. Definitely changes the free agency in terms of teams that had a need at guard or even offensive line. Like I said, the Houston Texans are now off the board, searching for offensive linemen. The Giants just released Eric Flowers, and I mean, thank God, because Eric Flowers has no business being in the NFL. And yeah, this is a good move. John, yes, no, maybe so. I don't care.
I definitely care. I mean, I'm all for the offensive lineman. I mean, a lot of podcasts and a lot of analysts, I mean, everyone, they all talk about the playmakers, but I mean, without a solid offensive line or offensive linemen, to say the least, I mean, you really don't get anywhere. I mean, so I'm all for it. I'm happy for him. I mean, he's a hell of a guy. Great deal, and bring it on, man. I mean, let's get these offensive linemen paid, man.
Hell yeah. Bronson?
Meh. Happy for the boys, don't get me wrong, but, like, how much does it excite me? It's probably like a 3. I mean, the grand scheme of things, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's not exciting. It's not sexy. It's not a sexy signing, but this is still a good pick good choice for the Buccaneers, who have made some terrible choices recently. So I like it. I like Ali Marpet. I just think it's awesome that we have a guy who's from a Division III college whose name is Ali, and he is now one of the top paid guards in the NFL. It's amazing. Love it. Finally, this week, last bit of news we'll talk about is after Odell Beckham bitched and moaned and said he wanted to be paid, finally gets paid, and then all of a sudden he gets interviewed and says there's not enough downfield action, starts trashing Eli, kind of trash Pat Shurmur's system, stuff like that. Bronson, do you take this as Beckham wanted to get paid and is now looking to get traded, or how do you feel about this whole situation?
Beckham just needs to shut the fuck up. He's just putting himself in that classic diva wide receiver position, and he just needs to just shut the fuck up and learn the offense and quit bitching, because the moment he learns the offense better, the rest of the team's going to play better. I mean, it's just as simple as that. And last week he played really well, and Pat Shurmur pulled his he pulled it out. He showed the team, like, yeah, we can play like this if people just get in line, and that's what Odell needs to do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know necessarily if it's him being a diva. Here's the thing: is that you have a Saquon Barkley, you have an Odell Beckham, you have a Sterling Shepard, you have an Evan Ingram, and granted, Evan Ingram's been injured, but ultimately, what did you talk about earlier with Matt Ryan? When you finish with a poor record, who gets blamed first? It's always going to be the quarterback. And as much as we like Eli, as much as we hope Eli ended his career on a high note, it's not happening. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I don't think Eli has it anymore. I don't think he has the arm strength to throw it down that further anymore. And I just think he's tired. He's beat up. This has been an offensive line that we've talked about. Again, I feel like I'm retreading the same points every week. This is a terrible offensive line. I mean, other than maybe Will Hernandez, the guard they just drafted, and Who's their left tackle they just got from the Patriots? Come on, guys, help me out here. What the fuck is his name?
Butt face.
Oh, shit.
The fuck is his name? We're all looking up. We're all either way. While we look this up, and they just signed him to a big contract, and even then, he's not. Oh, was it Nate Solder?
Yeah, Nate Solder. Yeah.
Nate Solder. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, Nate Solder. Nate Solder's not playing this well either. So you have a dearth of talent, but like I said, I think it's time that this offense moves on from Eli. And don't be surprised, like I said, if Justin Herbert, this is all contingent on if Justin Herbert declares for the draft. If he declares for the draft, Giants have that top 5 overall pick outside of maybe Oakland shocking the world and drafting a Justin Herbert, which at this point I wouldn't be surprised if Oakland does anything anymore. Like they're Oakland. They're the Raiders. They're terrible. They have a terrible head coach. And they need pass rushing help, Let's never forget that they need pass rushing help. But besides that, if the Giants are in a position to pick him, they will pick Justin Herbert. And Eli will be Kurt Warnered out of New York. He will play a couple games until Herbert's ready to go. And then Herbert will come in and save the day. And that's all I have to say about it. John, any thoughts?
Nothing too much to say about it. I mean, I agree with what you say there. He signed that deal to stay in New York. I mean, you gotta sit back, learn the offense, and move forward. I mean, it's funny that he said all that about Eli, and then in that very game this past week, he goes out and throws a touchdown pass. So that was pretty funny. I mean, why not give him the ball more and have him throw it down the field? Why not? I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is a Giants team where they're not going to do too much this year. I think we are at the end of the Eli Manning era in New York, and you signed to stay there, so stay there and do what you can. I mean, yeah, they have a stud running back now that they drafted in Saquon Barkley, and just I don't know, man. I mean, if your quarterback isn't doing much, when you don't have a solid offensive line, I mean, it's hard for any quarterback to play if you don't have a great offensive line. But I mean, just if you're gonna come out and talk about how terrible the quarterback is, I mean, I don't know. I just think it's really the end of the Eli Manning era. I don't know what they have to do moving forward, but I mean, just shut up and play, man. Just try to learn, the plays and, try to help your quarterback out. I don't know, man. I don't really have too much to say about it, honestly.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think Odell is of the same vein of Jarvis, even though he gets a lot of flack, and we don't see it in the locker room per se, but I know that everybody said the same thing about Jarvis Landry, how he was diva, how he wasn't worth the money, how he wasn't this, that, and then you watch the Hard Knocks and you watch that this guy wants to win, and that's all he wants to do is he wants to win. Yes, he wanted to get paid, but he wants to win ultimately, and I feel him and Jarvis are close friends, and I feel like they are of the same vein. So I think ultimately it's just that that Odell wants to win, and in order to win, needs to be a new quarterback in New York. So, all right, that does it for the news this week. Finally, we're gonna do it, gentlemen. We're gonna have a podcast that's under two hours this week. It's a Christmas.
We're gonna do it. Praise
Christmas.
Jesus.
Hallelujah. All right, so we're back and do some technical difficulties, not difficulties, but difficulties would be awesome, but no, difficulties. Looks like Bronson's cell phone is down. Either that or Emma murdered him. Shouldn't be saying shit about hot cosplayers. So, anywho, John and I made an executive decision. What we're gonna do is we're going to make the picks, and then Bronson's either going to text me or he'll take over the Twitter account, the Twatter account, the tweets of all the tweets, and he will make his picks on the Twitter account, which is the P_I_podcast. So, anywho, so I will go first then in lieu of Bronson, and motherfucker, I've got the Falcons versus the Buccaneers. Oh boy. I am unfortunately in a shitty predicament because I don't like the Buccaneers this year. I don't like the Falcons this year. And I have to pick one of them to win. I'm going to go Buccaneers. I think they've had the long layoff. I think they got their shit together. Jameis got into game shape. And again, that Falcons defense is hurting. So you still got Mike Evans. You still got Deshaun Jackson. You still got, hopefully, a healthy O.J. Howard. If they could only get a running game going, then this could be a decent offense. And they need to get their fucking defense together. I see this as a big shootout, but I think the Bucs win. John?
Yeah, I mean, this game I think is it's really a toss-up. I mean, Winston, he got some playing time before his first official start of the season, which will be this Sunday. I think the Falcons come back after a really big, humiliating loss in Pittsburgh and come back in a shootout and somehow squeak out the win at the very end, though.
So you're picking the Falcons?
Yes, sir.
Man, they're just going to disappoint you again. Just like they did to all of us last week. So
most likely, man, but I'm all about it. Bring it on. Disappoint me.
Son, I am disappointed. Hold on, I'm going to tweet out to Bronson, be like, lol, Bronson's phone died during our podcast.
Rip.
Rip in peace. In peace.
All of his picks were wrong this week. Spoiler alert.
What's that?
I said all of his picks are wrong this week. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, he automatically goes 0-15 this week because he refuses to get better equipment for this podcast.
No excuse, Bronson. I'm using a 10-year-old computer.
Exactly. You can build a computer that has shitty parts that can, do a good job. So, but whatever.
We love you.
We love you, Bronson. Yeah. Next week, or next game, not next week. John, you've got Steelers versus Bengals. Yeah, the floor is yours.
This is interesting. Steelers are coming off a really big win at home. I know they're excited about bringing Lev Bell back in a few weeks after their bye week. I think the Bengals are, not a lot of people are talking about them right now, but definitely the team to beat in that division right now. I do have the Bengals winning at home, though, over the Steelers.
All right, so you got the Bengals. I, too, also have the Bengals. I think that I think that the Steelers are still not good. Even though they had a big win last week. I don't know. There's something about the Bengals where you just think that they're going to be terrible and they're probably going to disappoint me just like they always do. Just like they do everybody. But, I'm going to go Bengals. So, be interesting to see what Bronson picks. So, all right, Chargers versus Browns. I'm up. Browns coming off a big win, overtime win, but it is against the Chargers. Fuck. Toss-up game. Fuck it. I'm going to go Cleveland. Why not? I'm all aboard the Baker Mayfield hype train. You know what? Just fuck it. I want the Browns to win out for the rest of this year. I want Baker Mayfield to win the MVP and somehow the Heisman again this year. And then the Browns win the Super Bowl. Chaos ensues. Korea bombs America. The end. John.
It's like I said earlier in the podcast. I mean, the Browns, they could be 5-0 right now. I mean, they've come close against some pretty interesting teams. I mean, they tie against the Steelers. I know they haven't really been that great this year. They came close to beating the Saints in New Orleans. That was also a very interesting one. The Chargers do have to go all the way to Cleveland for this game, and I don't know the official stat. I know they haven't really been too great when they have to travel all the way to the East Coast. But I think the Browns are just a really different team with Baker Mayfield on the field. Their defense is amazing. And, Baker's got that, he's got that swagger on the offense, man. I got to go Cleveland. Get it.
Yeah. This just in. Bronson's now texting me from beyond the grave. He is saying that neither the Chargers nor the Browns will win. It'll actually be the San Diego Padres. So
San Diego Padres.
The Padres.
At Petco Field.
The Padres are his pick. So if the Padres do not win, he loses that matchup. So
let's go San Diego Fathers. Let's do it.
All right. Seahawks versus Raiders. My phone's lighting up again.
We're getting live updates from Bronson.
Yeah. Bronson from beyond the grave. What's
amazing.
that? You're saying that John Gruden's going to take over quarterback duty, and he's going to what now? He's going to throw 6 touchdowns this week. Oh my God, Bronson from beyond the grave. You're saying that okay, so you're saying that the only way that you're picking the Raiders this week, only if John Gruden comes in to play quarterback and throws 6 touchdowns? Okay, all right, so that's the only way he gets the points. Yeah, so Bronson picks the Raiders with John Gruden quarterbacking the team. That's the only way he gets points. I'm up next, and I am going to not foolishly pick the Raiders with John Gruden as their quarterback. I'm going to pick the Seahawks. They played a really good game against the Rams last week, and pass rushers are hard to find in the NFL. John?
John Gruden at quarterback is that's very interesting to think about. I mean, it's a very big game situation for him. I mean, he took the nice deal to come back and coach, but to quarterback them too. I mean, that's a lot to ask for. He's not making that quarterback money. But, Seahawks, they played the Rams very solid last week, and I think they're going to continue that going against a not-so-good Raiders team, so I got the Seahawks as well.
All right. Bronson from beyond the grave is still texting me. He said for the Buccaneers-Falcons game, he's going to take the Buccaneers only if Bruce the Pirate comes out and plays running back for them and rushes for 250 yards. So that is his pick. Bruce the Pirate, 250 yards, the Buccaneers in their creamsicle uniforms. And he's also picking the Steelers because Terry Bradshaw is going to come back and lead them to another Super Bowl. So,
yeah.
Bears versus Dolphins. John, you are up next. Who you got?
Man,
Bears
the Dolphins
start.
Yeah, they do come off the bye week. The Dolphins started off the season very solid, 3-0. They've lost the last 2 games. They are at home. Man, I don't know. I feel like Khalil Mack is really just going to terrorize Tannehill the entire day, and the rest of that Bears awesome defense. So, Bronson, beyond the grave. This one goes out to you. I got the Bears winning this one.
All right. Speaking of which, Bronson from beyond the grave says that Bears are going to win, but only if Dick Butkus comes back, or due to the fact that Dick Butkus comes back and catches 6 touchdown passes from Mitchell Trubisky. Also, Mike Singletary comes in and makes 100 tackles. So that's the only way he gets points is if those 2 things happen. I'm going to go more reasonable here and just pick the Bears. Like I said, like what you were saying, John, Dolphins started hot. They are not hot anymore, and Ryan Tannehill is going to, oh boy, he is going to feel the sack of the Mac, the return of the Mac. He's going to feel that big black penis inside of him. So, all right, Cardinals versus Vikings. I'm not even going to discuss this one. Even though the Cardinals played a good game, they played against the San Francisco 49ers. It's Vikings. I mean, Jesus Christ, Vikings. John?
Yeah, I mean, there's not really much to talk about. I think the Vikings are just going to take this one. I mean, Josh Rosen, I mean, he's looking pretty solid quarterback so far, but, I mean, like I said, not much to talk about. Vikings are at home. Boom, give it.
Yeah. Bronson from Beyond the Grave said that the that the Cardinals are going to win because Kurt Warner is coming out of retirement to take Josh Rosen's place. He said, "Fuck the future. Future is me." and also Emmitt Smith too. Emmitt Smith is making a comeback as well.
Boom.
Denny Green is coming back from beyond the grave too, saying, "We are who they thought they were," and that's not a very good running offense. So Bronson said
Hopefully,
that.
don't let him off the hook.
Yeah. So Bronson picks the Cardinals only if Denny Green and Kurt Warner and Emmitt Smith come back. So that's the only way he gets his points. Besides that, though, this is. I know it's not much to talk about, but the Vikings do have to get their running game in order. Otherwise, they are in trouble this year. So
yeah, a lot to ask for, Kirk Cousins.
Yep. Colts versus Jets. Bronson from beyond the grave picks the Colts because Marvin Harrison. Moving on, I am. T.Y. Hilton's out this week. I know Ebron's dealing with an injury. I'm going to go Jets, only for the simple fact that I don't think it'll be Andrew Luck's fault. I think they're still looking for that running back that they don't have, so I think they'll be going hard for Le'Veon in the offseason. That, and again, Colts don't have T.Y. Their defense is okay. They need to stop showboating every time they make a big play. Listen, I get it. You're happy, excited. You're still down 2 touchdowns. Stop it. Just stop it. So, John, who you got, Colts?
Yeah, I mean, stop the showboating. I mean, your team's 1-4. Without T.Y. Hilton, without a running game, it's a lot to ask for with Andrew Luck coming back this season after missing a lot of time. I mean, he has looked pretty solid, but still a lot to ask for in order to come out with a win. Just, I'm looking at it now, they have won 3 out of the last 4 against the Colts. I think they're going to keep it going. They're going to go 4 out of the last 5, and Jets are going to win this game.
Yeah, interesting enough too. This was the trade that led the Jets to trade up, or this is the teams that allowed the Jets to trade up to get Sam Darnold and allowed the Colts to drop back and get, I can't think of the guard's name, but the guard prospect who is really, really good. Like, surprisingly good. Like, holy shit, I would be scared to line up against him. So, that is a mean, nasty motherfucker right there. I'll tell you what. Panthers versus Redskins. John, who you got?
The Redskins, they're coming off a big shellacking off Monday Night Football. I know they usually don't play stellar football as a recent in primetime games. They are at home. It's a 1 o'clock game. And there's a lot going for, this game. I mean, Josh Norman's actually going up against his former team against the Panthers, so I know he's got a lot to prove. Yep. But, man, I don't know. This could be a back-and-forth game, but I think the Redskins are going to come out with a win in this one. I'm
going to pick Carolina because I don't know. It's just, it's typical. Plus, I'm secretly hoping if I pick Carolina that the Redskins will win. But, the defense just looked awful. Drew Brees absolutely tore him up. And I'm not saying Cam Newton is Drew Brees, but even still, they just looked awful. They looked slow. They looked sluggish, even though they had 2 weeks to prepare for the game. And a day. 2 weeks and a day to prepare for the game. I think whatever. Bronson is saying that John Riggins is going to come from beyond the grave. I know John Riggins is still alive. Joe Gibbs is going to coach this game. This is going to be the only game that Joe Gibbs coaches because it's against the Carolina team, and he says the Redskins are going to win. But that's only if Joe Gibbs, of course, coaches his team. That's what Bronson from beyond the grave picks. So
juicy.
Bills versus Texans. Bronson from beyond the grave picks David Carr to come back out of retirement, take Deshaun Watson's other knee out, tear it, and start for them, and still get pummeled, but he ultimately picks the Texans to win. So, John, who you got? Why?
I don't want to say too much about this game. I mean, the Bills. Who the hell knows, man? I mean, it's it's like they come out and ball whenever. I think they're not going to really do much. I mean, I don't think they're one of the best teams in the NFL, but I mean, some weeks they come away and prove me wrong. But I don't know. I think the Texans are still going to win this game, though. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, this is a bad team versus a bad team, but I think that the Texans are coming off two big victories. Deshaun Watson's starting to find his rhythm again, and I don't have trust in the Bills, so I'm gonna go Texans as well. I'm up next. Rams versus Broncos. Rams. We don't even have to talk about this. Rams are just firing on all cylinders. They are even missing Aqib Talib, and Marcus Peters is hurt, and they're still winning games. So, Rams for me. Bronson has, oh no, he's picking Broncos because he says that Casey Keenum is gonna get injured in the second quarter, and then the second half, John Elway is gonna throw on that number 7 jersey and come back and throw some 20 touchdowns. So this game's gonna end like 140 to 7. That's what Bronson's picking for the score. So that's the only way this wins is if the Broncos win 140 to 7. John, I should say Bronson from Beyond the Grave.
Yeah, I mean with Elway, as a quarterback, I mean where could you go wrong?
Yeah, exactly. 60-year-old John Elway.
This is a red hot Rams offense. I mean, versus a very struggling Broncos defense. I mean, it just sums up for just another victory for the Rams, man. I mean, they're just trotting along, Rams in this one, man.
Yeah. John, you're next. Jaguars, Cowboys.
Man, like we were talking about earlier. I mean, Jaguars have a solid defense. Offense isn't really doing too much, but then again, I mean, the Cowboys aren't really doing too much. It seems like the Jaguars always play solid one week and take another week off, and then they're back on the next week. I don't know, man. It's another toss-up, but I guess I'll have to go with the Jaguars in this one, honestly.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Jaguars too. I think. I don't know. I think the Cowboys had a debilitating loss last week. I don't think they're going to come back from it. And you're going to see Dallas probably have another top 10 pick. Jason Garrett get fired, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
It's been long enough. I know Jerry thinks highly of him, and that's his boy and all, but it's been long enough, Jerry. So I'm going to pick Jaguars. Bronson says that Jimmy Johnson is going to come out of retirement, take Jason Garrett's spot, and Troy Aikman's going to be commentating this game. Troy Aikman's going to shake off all those concussions, and he's going to come back, but ultimately they're going to lose.
How about them Cowboys?
69-3 with Troy Aikman as their quarterbacks to the Jaguars. But, that's the only way it happened is if Troy Aikman's their quarterback. That's what Bronson from Beyond the Grave picks. So, Bronson from Beyond the Grave once again is up. Ravens, Titans. He's picking the Ravens. He's just picking the Ravens. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. He's picking the Ravens. There's
loves
no
the Ravens.
Yeah, he loves the Ravens. Bronson from Beyond the Grave is the biggest Ravens supporter that's ever existed. So, John, you're up. Ravens, Titans, go.
This is an interesting matchup because the Ravens are going into Tennessee against Dean Pease, their former defensive coordinator. This is a battle of two top 5 defenses. Both coming off pretty big losses, both sitting at 3-2. My heart wants to say the Ravens, and I can't pick against that. I think Harbaugh moving to the running back by committee will prevail instead of just hoping that Alex Collins is going to turn it around. I think Joe Flacco is also going to listen to his wife after her giving him a lot of shit after this plays where Lamar Jackson comes in on quarterback and Flacco sits there a wide receiver and just stands there. I think Flacco's going to make a move. He may take one step when the ball gets snapped, and I This is also another offense where Dean Pease hasn't really seen a whole lot of, because they've incorporated some plays with Lamar Jackson. So I think they're really going to switch it up, knowing that they're going up against their former DC. I think it's also going to be a tight game too, but I think in the end it might come down to a Justin Tucker field goal and the Ravens come away with a win.
I'm going to pick the Titans, and I know I shouldn't pick the Titans, but I just heard the cat now. Yeah, I knew we were talking about
he's
that
loud.
Yeah, goddamn. Tell him to go get some kitty pussy. Like, come on.
I know, that's what I'm trying to say, man. Like, come on. It's all good.
Like I said, I'm going to pick the Titans. I think that the Titans are coming off that terrible loss that they should have won. And I think that Mike Vrabel, I can't say his name. Mike Vrabel is going to...
Mouthful.
For real. That's what she said. Mike Vrabel is going to get this team straightened out. And, I think this is going to come down. It's going to be a close game, but ultimately I think the Titans will win in Tennessee. So, Chiefs, Patriots, I got this one. Oh, this is a tough one. I'm going to pick... Pat Mahomes coming off I'm gonna go against. I'm gonna go with the Chiefs, and the reason being is I think that I still think that the Patriots defense is very unathletic, and they're gonna have a hard time keeping up with that speed. If somehow they can contain the speed, they'll have a shot. But if they can't, then Patriots have no shot. Chiefs win. Pat Mahomes is the greatest thing that ever lived. I'm a Mahomie. John, I think you're a Mahomie. I know regular Bronson is Mahomie, but we've got Bronson from beyond the grave once again. Tell you what, he says that Drew Bledsoe is going to be out on the sidelines, and then Tom Brady's going to get knocked out in the second quarter, and Drew Bledsoe is going to come back and reclaim his job.
It's been a long time coming, but he's got this.
16, 17 years later, he's going to reclaim his job and lead the Patriots to victory. So that's the way he gets points, is if Drew Bledsoe takes over for Tom Brady. So, and John, you're up. Chiefs, Patriots.
Yeah. I mean, kind of like what you said. I mean, this Patriots defense isn't really doing that well this season. And the Chiefs, especially with Mahomes, has proved this season against, any bottom half defense. I mean, they've really torched that team. It could be a shootout too. I mean, the Patriots are really starting to come on. They had a big win last week, and they're really starting to find their stride. But I just think this Chiefs offense, especially any given week against a defense that just is not that good. I mean, I think they're just on a whole nother level, and the Chiefs are just going to keep strolling along, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. So, and John, don't go too far away. You are up next with the Monday Night Football pick. Okay, we don't have to talk about this. Do we have to talk about this? It's the 49ers versus Packers.
As long as it doesn't come down to field goals, but if it does, I hope Mason Crosby's got his shit together, because, I mean, that was we didn't really talk about it when we were going over last week's picks, but I mean, with Mason Crosby missing 4 field goals last week, that was honestly the difference.
And an extra point.
That was the difference last week. I mean, if he would have made all those kicks like he normally does, that they would have won that game. I mean, it could have turned out differently for all I know. But, I mean, it's just a 49ers team that just, it's not nothing really to talk about. I think the Packers just, they come away with this win. And, much needed win for them after a big loss in Detroit last week, so I think the Packers just get back on it and come away with it.
Yeah, I got the Packers too. Here's what I think. I think Aaron Rodgers always wants to ball out against the 49ers, no matter whether it's Monday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, Sunday Day Football, Thursday Night Football, Wednesday. Anytime he gets a chance to go up against the 49ers, I think he's still hurt that they didn't take him first overall pick in 2005, and I think he wants to prove that he is the best quarterback that ever existed, and so I think he ultimately just dominates this 49ers team. It's just It's a tough year for them, and I feel bad because they were a sleeper team in that NFC West, but it's okay. I think next year they're going to come back better, stronger, healthier, and overall, like I said, just a lot better. So, Bronson from Beyond the Grave just tweeted to me. He said that, oh wow. He said, Steve Young, Jerry Rice coming back, bringing the 49ers to prominence, and they're going to win this game.
Time to make San Fran a great-a-gram.
47-20. That's what Bronson from Beyond the Grave picks. So, and finally, we're gonna end with Thursday Night Football. Just in case, I know we said next Wednesday we're gonna record, but I always like to have this just in case, just until we get more solid on the date and more times and everything like that. So that way, if we have to record on Friday, we have our Thursday night pick in beforehand. But Broncos versus Cardinals. I'm not even gonna ask Bronson from Beyond the Grave because I think that joke's well dead and buried by now. But
yeah,
John, Broncos, Cardinals. Who? Why should we even care to watch?
I mean, most of us are gonna watch regardless. I don't even think I have a why for this one. I think it's more so a toss-up. I think Rosen, as the season progresses, he'll progress too. And they're also at home. I know it doesn't really say too much, but I don't know. I guess give me the Cardinals. I mean, these are really two teams that are just struggling this year. Not really much to talk about, honestly. It's more so just me going eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Give me the Cardinals on Thursday Night Football. Why not?
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to go with your same sentiment. Cardinals, I think, are Josh Rosen. You're going to see make some good throws. He's already building that rapport with Christian Kirk, which you want to see. And the Broncos just look lost. So, yeah, I mean, not much to say about this game. I'm going to pick Cardinals. I think the bigger question is who the fuck is actually going to watch this game? Because, oh boy, you're going to have a hard time not only selling tickets to this game, but you're going to have a hard time fucking watching this game. So, But, anyways, that about does it for this week's podcast. You can catch this podcast, of course, on iTunes, Google Music, Podbean. After next week's podcast, we'll finally hit the road to Spotify. Will be finally completed.
It's official.
And, oh my god, I can't fucking wait because let me tell you, listening to podcasts on Podbean is I'm grateful for their hosting service. Not the best format. I'm grateful for iTunes. I don't have an iTunes account.
Same.
I don't have an Apple phone. And I refuse to use Google Play because fuck Google Play. That shit's confusing as shit. So give me Spotify next week. I'm excited.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you can catch all of our tweets. In all seriousness, like I said, Bronson's computer went out, so I'll get with him tomorrow when his phone, I guess, comes back into service. But we'll get with him, see what his actual true picks are, and run through everything. We'll tweet them out at the official Twitter, which is P_I_podcast. And you can also catch us on Facebook as Pass Interference Podcast, or if you look up the Facebook page name, it's Pass Interference Podcast, also formerly known as the Neutral Zone Infraction, which that was, again, a pain in the ass as well. John, where can the lovely people of Podcast Land find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter, and I believe the same on Instagram as NERRRICH, 3 R's in the middle. Been pretty quiet on there recently, but I'm sure to make a comeback as I usually do. Usually just post a bunch of beard pics and pictures of my kitty. And yeah, find me on there, man.
Yeah. I know you don't really tweet during Sundays because you're watching the NASCAR. So
definitely during the playoffs, man.
Yeah, exactly. So once the NASCAR is over with, John will be going to hopefully tweeting about football and caring about football more. So you can also catch regular Bronson, not Bronson from Beyond the Grave, though. I think, John, we have to make a Bronson from Beyond the Grave Twitter account now.
I think at this point, yeah, it's very interesting picks, I will say.
Oh my God, he has the most interesting picks of them all. But you can catch regular Bronson at on Twitter at Bronsonius. That's Bronson IOUS, and also on Instagram. I think his name is Chefman Bronson. I think that's what it is.
I believe so. Yeah.
Something stupid like that. I don't fucking know. Fucking, I don't use Instagram really. So, anyways, you can catch me on the Twitters at capital O, capital G, Liquid, LIQUID, Jesus, JESUS, all in one word. And that about does it. You have anything else to end with, John?
Hopefully, Bronson, not Beyond the Grave, can join us next week and we can figure out what happened. And, maybe we might make a case to have Beyond the Grave Bronson in weeks to come. I mean, very out there picks, but I love it, man. This is a fun and out of the blue week. And week 6, let's see where this takes us.
Yeah, one could say honestly that Bronson from Beyond the Grave was our guest picker this week. So,
yeah,
with that about does it. I'm your host, Max Whirling, signing off. Goodbye, people.
Have a good night. Week 6, baby.
Raw.